Yeah, I'm responsible for the overall sustainability at Falck Renewables Group, which is a pure play in renewable energy production and services related to green energy production. Our business is located basically in OECD countries, to be more precise. And what I'm going to tell you about, I think I'm just offering that in the sense that I hope it could be a sort of food for thoughts, or maybe possible points of let's say replication or implementation, if it can be, if it's useful also in emerging and developing and non-OECD countries as well. What I'm going to talk to you about is about this inclusive and sustainable business that we develop at Falck Renewables, especially with respect to the territories that host our generation fleet, which is 80% made of onshore wind power, and most of the remaining is on PV, solar PV. The point is, the rationale is that we believe that sustainability is about really sharing the value that we create, both the economic value and also the non-financial, non-tangible value as well. And so it's more about the maximization or optimization of the results for shareholders and stakeholders, at the same time respecting and protecting the environment where we operate. That's why we present ourselves through that sustainability charter that you see on the right-hand side of this slide, where we basically do 5 things. 3 of them are related to community development. One is about sharing also the knowledge that we have, that we bring, that everyone in our company compose with the local territories, and as I said, also having a very high and strong approach to environmental protection. Let me go just a little bit into action. First of all, what do? We work to promote local workforce and supply chain in those places where we operate. From one side, in the areas, especially in the UK, where our largest cluster generation cluster is located nowadays, we have established a grant to support local students that want to develop a professional career in wind energy. And at the end, when they get the degree, we organize some meetings, we'll call them preliminary interviews, with our technology suppliers and partners, so that if there's a talent that we have helped develop, that talent can find a working place with the companies that operate with us in the territory. At the same time, we have a specific approach to our procurement initiatives. So when we build or we refurbish or we have maintenance operations in our assets, we present the list of the services and goods that we need in order to accomplish with that firsthand at the local entrepreneurial community, to see how much of this value can be matched with local supply. And as you see, we have scored quite a fairly high. It's almost 3/4 of our local supplies in 2019. What I think that might be interesting is about, even a little more interesting, is about the schemes of community participation in our business that we propose. We have pioneered already some 15 years ago a financial cooperative scheme, which is pretty much about suggesting the local community to establish a cooperative, which members are normally, let's say, 1 participant per family in those villages around where we have we're going to build our wind farm. And we open the possibility of investing on the wind farm by that cooperative. In return, we offered interest rates on these funds, which are composed by a floor rate that normally is 2 or 3 times more what a bank deposit interest account, bank deposit account interest would be, plus a floating rate that it's related to, let's say, the productivity of that generation asset during that year. And we do this for the entire life of the wind farm. And then we repay this investment at full. Just some numbers, we have some figures. We have 7 cooperatives around the 12 wind farms that we operate in the UK. 3,600 investors plus of that. We have raised 12 million euro since 2006 and distributed a little more than 1 million euro in dividends so far already. The other possibility that we have put in practice, it's an ownership scheme that is about, we have just one experience on that, is around our Ellsburn wind farm in Scotland. And we have encouraged the local community at Fintry, which is a village around that wind farm, to establish a social enterprise. And we are offering them the initial amount to purchase 1 share in our wind farm, which corresponds to the generation capacity of 1 turbine. Then we operate that turbine as well, and we then transfer the revenues from selling the electricity from that turbine to the enterprise. And the community itself uses this additional resources to support sustainable energy initiatives. So we have created a sort of like energy efficiency initiatives, LED lighting on public streets and so on. So we have created, let's see, we have delivered the resources to create a sort of virtuous circle. The other thing that we do, let me see if I can just go on with that. Okay. Now, the thing that we do, which is pretty much, let's say, common practice in the UK, is to establish a community benefit scheme and to finance through that bottom-up initiatives that are put forward independently and then by the local community, and then managed independently by an association or a trust in this specific case, in this specific UK case, which receives our support, but then is entirely participated by the local community, so not the local council, but the local people, and completely independent and autonomous in deciding how to allocate and where to allocate the money. This is under the principle that is the community itself that knows best than anyone else how to use that amount of money for. We have managed last year and this year to export this supporting scheme also to Norway and Sweden, demonstrating that it's something that it also makes sense to be embraced as best practice in other countries. And just to give an example, last year we have supported 155 projects in the UK through these benefit schemes. We don't have a word in the use of that money, but make sure that this money is not used against the presence of our assets in the territory. I mean, that's pretty common sense. We have also found that there is an additional value in making the different communities that live around our different assets, our many assets, to come together and exchange these experiences in financial cooperatives or in community benefits schemes, so they can exchange ideas, practices, challenges, and so on. So we have created this sort of virtual community, a community of communities that meets in person, apart unfortunately from this year, as you may imagine, to have this networking, but they can also rely on a web portal that makes it possible to interact on a more frequent basis. As I was referring to, we are very keen of sharing our knowledge. We're creating a knowledge base together with the Polytechnical University of Milan, which is available for their students, but it's also available for everyone else. And it's a massive online open course on community engagement. You can find it. I think it's this. When I will leave this presentation, and this slide, this picture here is clickable, and it should be directed to this training resource. We tend to reduce our environmental footprint, not just because we want to comply we have to comply with legal aspects, but also because if we make sure we comply a little more than what I mean, if we take a more restricted approach with respect to what the rules are, we prepare ourselves to what tomorrow will be. As tomorrow, these kind of the thresholds and limits are going to be even more restricted, and we are that kind of company that likes to explore innovations. So we have done some new practices about reducing the environmental footprint in construction, but also calculating the carbon footprint in the last wind farm construction that we had in Norway last year. Something that we want to then spread and put at the disposal of whoever would like to have a sort of term of reference in this endeavor and under this topic. But what we also focus very much is about nesting the sustainability culture in our stuff, because if you're not the first, if you're not the champions of all these at first place, I'm pretty sure that our performance won't be that good. So for this reason, we make sure that course that I told you about, MOOC that I spoke to you about, it's a mandatory internal training course. But at the same time, we screen our prospective colleagues through interviews in the recruitment process, embedding some questions that assess how the candidate would share this sustainability approach, and also would demonstrate some competence and ability to deliver within this responsible framework. And this is basically pretty much of it, and I thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, Alessandro, and your presentation I think was a very important part also of this webinar, because it shows what you as a professional, as a commercial developer, investor are doing in order to work with communities and make community power a reality. Maybe you couldn't unfortunately listen to all the presentations, but maybe you can, some either can learn from what you're doing, but at the same time, maybe there's also some interest from your side, some appetite in working with some of our friends here from other parts of the world, even if in countries where you're not yet active. So with this,